And I've always told you that, and I've always said that. Hi. Hello. Hi. 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 Hello? Hi. Anyway, Miriam here. At you with some. If I seem frustrated, it's because I am. I'm coming on here to just tell you stuff that you already know. But apparently, I'm supposed to come on here to just tell you stuff that you already know. Okay? Okay? Literally sitting here just wanting to enjoy my morning. This past weekend was my birthday, and I did a lot of stuff. And I just wanted to, you know, whatever. It's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's just more of I know that I accepted this job from the universe, and so I'm gonna do it. It's just more of like my house is messy. I was gonna clean my house. I was gonna anyway, it's okay because this is only gonna take however many minutes that it takes, and then I can get to what I was doing anyway. So your guides, your ancestors, your whatever, da 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 da, they're here to tell you it's time. That you made it. That you made it through. You made it through the hard times. Doesn't mean that there's not ever going to be hard times again. It's just more of like, for you right now specifically, it's like a, okay. Like even when things are bad, they're not as bad. 151, as I say this, like you're able to handle it a bit more. You've learned a way to find this relief within you as how it works within you specifically. And that's taken a lot of patience and a lot of internal work over years. And sometimes, like, sometimes I'm hearing like even in a month span, like it seems like you're experiencing years of stuff. Like it's like you choose to consolidate your stuff whenever you're being traumatized. Um, it tends to be like bursts of traumatization, and then bursts, or like and same with these awakenings, these emergences. It's like at first you had your first spiritual awakening and spiritual emergence, and you were like, wow, I'm enlightened now. And then they're like, dark night of the soul. And you're just like, wait, I don't feel connected to the universe anymore. What's going on? Like, you know? And there's like these phases, like 8, 9, 10. Here's these steps, and you go through these steps, and then you go through those steps again, and then you go through those steps again, and each time you learn it. So each emergence, you're like, wait, like you discovered pretty quickly, like, oh, there's multiple of these. There's a bunch of these throughout the entire life. And as you've been going to each one, you've been noticing that you are a healer. You have been noticing that you are somebody. You're right. You've been noticing that you're a healer. And you even almost like curse it sometimes. You're even almost like, yeah, people take from me, blah, blah, blah. And then that's your story. And you're discovering your new story now. You're like, okay, I realize I've been perpetuating these cycles. So I'm going to 353 as I was saying that. I've been perpetuating these cycles. I can create a new story for me. I can create a story of relief, of expansion, of good energy coming in me, not just like, oh, everyone in my life is bleh, because not everyone in everybody's life is bleh. It's impossible because everyone in the world is technically in our life, you know? You know? There are good people in the world. And even if you're surrounded by really shitty people, I think if you are deeming other people shitty, then you might be a good person. Not necessarily if you just consider people shitty that you're a good person, but if you feel like you're the one who's being attacked, 444, as I say this, most likely you are the one who is the stability. Most likely you are the one who is the diplomatic individual that allows for childlike joy even in darkness. And that can feel like a lot of responsibility. And that's what I hear. Responsibility, 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 responsible. I'm responsible for this. It's on my shoulders. It's a burden. And it's not something that like if it, like it's like something has clicked, like something twitched and was like, oh, I don't know, oh, that isn't mine. Oops. You know what it is. You know what it's like. You have been on this steadfast path. You just got groceries, a bunch of them. So you're like, I'm going to my car. Hurry, hurry, hurry. It's a little bit cold, and you go and you get your car there, or you get to your car. You pop open the trunk because it's already open. You never even lock it, so you pop open the trunk because it's an old car, and you just throw all the stuff in there. You close it, and then you go put the card away, and you come back to the driver's seat, and there's somebody sitting in your driver's seat or in the passenger seat, and you're like, oh, that wasn't even your car. Turns out it was the next row over, and there was just a car that was like the same year, make, model, color, everything as yours. But it was the wrong car. It's not like you were doing the wrong thing. You were going back home. You were doing the thing. You just didn't notice that it was just a little bit over. Why am I even talking about this? Can you explain? Why was I talking about this? 725. Maybe I made it to someone. Anyway, it's gonna be. Oh, okay. Then you realize that you go to your car. Then you just go. It's a little bit embarrassing. It's a little weird, but then you see your car. You go. Let me get all this out of your trunk, and then go to your car. Maybe. There's no connection anymore. 6:56 as I say that, and so I'm gonna let it go. It's I've said what I needed to say. For whoever, whatever random person that's for, or for one of you guys. It's so funny. What I notice is, so how not alone you are. 717, as I looked up, by the way, how not alone you are is hilarious. That's a 6. Your family is here. Like, hi. I'm probably one of them. But also the people who are commenting, the people who are subscribed to this, we are all in a similar collective. 737 as I say this. When they fight you. We are all in this collective. We are very close in proximity and collective, especially whenever it comes to our spiritual level, especially when it comes to all this. So literally, I speak with so many people. I've done readings for people privately from this, like so many people. So many people, like I'm so thankful. So many people from all of you guys have reached out and like have been paying for things like my services. I have services now for people in Australia. I'm doing like I'm making sure that I understand the time zones around the world now. 7:27 my time as I say this, and so what I've noticed in these readings, 828. On this, as I say, oh, if these numbers, anyway, what I have noticed is something similar between almost everyone. People who are on the interviews, people who are not on interviews because they don't feel comfortable sharing their story like that. That's okay. And so we have our private sessions. Is that we all kind of share something in common. This belief that we're not good enough or that we need to be more perfect. And I know because you found me that you are shedding that. Because I stopped being perfect. That was my dedication in this time, was to be less perfect and more consistent. And being consistent with myself and how I treat myself as well. That was something very difficult. Even whenever I say it, hey, it's all right. Just record yourself right now and look crazy. Look at my collar. My collar doesn't. But it used to be, I would have, before recording, I would have fixed my collar like this and like laid it down, ironed it even. I would have ironed my collar. I would have sat down and made sure there wasn't a basket full of clothes behind me. Ooh, not my fan. Oh my gosh, not my appearance is behind me. Ten. As I say this, I don't care about being perfect only because I know that so many times I have showed up for people, and even if I hated everything about myself, somehow I was able to find perfect words for them in that moment. There were times that people came to me so ready to give up, so ready to make drastic choices, so ready to be so far removed from themselves. And in those moments, they felt comfortable seeking my energy. They knew I could help in some way, even if I didn't. And those are spaces that you also provide for people. It may be on a much grander scale than mine, and it may be on a smaller scale than mine. That's totally cool too. Because what I've noticed is that sometimes, quite literally, I'm saying something to someone and I think that it's not going through to them or whatever, and years later they reach out and they say, hey, this was ringing in my head. This. And people have called me their linchpin. People have called me these things that I'm like, you know how many times I have panic attacks? You know how unstable I am? Like I'm stable. Like, I'm grown, I'm alright, but like sometimes if my tummy aches, mm-mm, mm-mm. You better be ready for a full on meltdown. I don't like when my tummy hurts. You are no longer separating yourself from this elite group of people that you consider these highly awakened beings. You are now accepting the fact that you are one of them. No matter how narcissistic you may feel about it or whatever, because honestly, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm being too egotistical, I promise you, your ego is not big enough. Like, you're already being self aware. It's okay. Everybody has egos, even the most spiritual yogis in the whole wide world. Like, they're gonna have egos. If we're alive, we have egos. Okay? It's about how we are aware and make sure that we are not only acting in them. And right now, and not right now in this moment actually, because it's better now. It's better for you now. I know that. It's been better than it definitely has been in the past because oof, there were times like I'm seeing some dark times, like really, really struggling. And it's like now you're like, hey, it's not that. Whatever my reality is, it's not that 1333. It's like 1331, as I say. This person 33. It's all right. 1331 are considered twin flame numbers. They are the same numbers in different positions reflected, but they're still both fours. It still requires, they're still both fours. And so the way I like to read numbers is if I have 2 digits, then I use reductive math. So reductive. And then I get the main number. The digital root. I get to the digital root of the numbers. That lets me know the subject of the numbers. Then I go, well, really, I do whatever I want with my numbers. But then I go and I read them based off of that combined energy, that entire essence of the whole number. So we've got 1331, they're both 4. So we're reading in 4. If we're reading 3-1 or 1-3, I'm pointing right, left, by the way. 3-1 or 1-3. Then That's how I'm going to read it. 4, then 3, 1. Essentially, it doesn't matter if it's 1, 3, or 3, 1. It's either you're leading with 1 or you're leading with 3. Excuse me. Confirmation break. So you're either leading with leadership, individuality, individualism, ideas, problem solving, or leading with 3, which is childlike joy, creativity, co-creation, community, a little bit community, because you can also like communicate with yourself, but shining like a star, having fun, like doing that entertainment jazz, and then together that creates, or that's a foundation. It's like essentially like, oh, you want to have a good foundation? You have to start having fun. I know it feels weird because like it's like 4 is hard work. And you're telling me I have to have fun? Yes. Because the saying that they say a million times, if you never work a day in your life if you're doing something that you love. But like quite literally, you do work a day in your life when you do stuff that you love. You work harder than anything when you're doing something you love. You're up in the middle of the night, you're waking up and like, oh, I have inspiration. Actually, let me just hurry up and do this so I can do my thing. Like you are so excited that you put in the hours. Right now, my mom's doing this thing where she does 100 hours of something to learn. And so it's easier to put 100 hours into something whenever you don't know the hours are passing. And there's plenty of times where I've learned, I learned how to play Magic the Gathering as an adult. And that was pretty difficult because I hadn't really played any card games. My brother played like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, but I never played those types of card games. And it could get convoluted sometimes. Once you have it, you have it. It's a game. Like it's you just learn the rules and then you just play the game. And so there were so many times in my adult life that I was like so scared because something new was happening. The time that I was most scared is whenever my daughter was born. She, yeah. When she was 2 months, she had to have a surgery to place a trach and a G button and to remove a very large mass. And so when she came out of surgery, she was all wrapped up in gauze. And when they place a trach, they, especially in babies, when they place a trach, they will then stitch the trach to the skin to make sure that it stays until it heals all the way. And they often put the baby in a medically induced coma. And so that's for about a week or so. And when your baby is fully knocked out on drugs for a week, and they've just had this really big surgery, and all of a sudden they look a little different, and she was so swollen. And during that week, even before she had her surgery, really, before she was born, we kind of knew that things like this might happen. So we were in talks about her getting her trach for a while and her G button and her surgery. And while she healed, I knew that when she was healed up, I would be the one taking care of her trach. I would be the one cleaning it and changing it out, and same for her G button. I would be responsible for that. And so babies are really tiny. And whenever they have a fragile airway and you have to think fast and also in a calm manner if something wild goes on. And also the mundane life of somebody with a trach is you just have to clean it. You make sure it's clean. You make sure that there's no gunk in it, so then there's a clear airway. But whenever it all first started, it was so much, and it was day by day, and I had my little notebook, and I was like, okay, I'm going to study this. I'm going to study this. I'm going to become a respiratory therapist, essentially, for my baby. And so I got really close with the respiratory therapists, and I learned, and I took notes, and I paid attention to all these things, and I made sure that they did it in front of me so that I can watch each thing that they did so I could take note. And so whenever it came to me, I could do it. Now I could do trachea in my sleep. I mean, granted, obviously I don't. But now sometimes I just know. I mean, I could do trachea. I could stop doing trachea for so long. Like if once my baby's done with her trach, then I think I could do trachea on any person in the world at this point because of the specific complications that I had. Not necessarily learning, but like the way that my daughter is. She specifically is like there's a lot of anatomy stuff that you have to figure out and navigate in order to yeah. So now I feel so confident. I clean your trach. I could suction you. I could do all those things. I've never been bothered by it. A lot of people get like, oh, there's no way I could do any medical stuff. Thank goodness my baby doesn't have medical stuff because I can never do medical stuff. I'm like, first of all, grow up. Don't have a baby unless you know the facts that your baby could be anything at any point. But I learned it. And it was so daunting. It was extremely daunting because my baby's life was in my hands. It was literally life or death. And I fucking stuck it out. And I learned it anyway. And I was brave and I was able to because it was so far removed from what I thought I could do. And then I did it just by learning step by step. And trust me, it was difficult. It was difficult at first. Now I am so well versed in it that I'm like, I can't even believe there was a time that I didn't know this. But there was a time that I didn't know it at all. I didn't even know it was going to be a part of my reality at all. And it was. And I was okay. Because truly, your gift is your intelligence, your ability to learn lessons. And you've learned so many lessons spiritually. And you'll continue to learn and da-da-da-da-da. It's just more of when you see that this is a new opportunity to learn, you are much more graceful to yourself now, as opposed to being like, you don't know? You don't know? Like, of course I don't know yet. I'm learning. Okay? So you give yourself a chance. You give yourself a couple beats, okay? Because sometimes your baby's born different. And you gotta learn. But this is your baby that you created. And not just baby, of course, babies, but also your creations. Everything that you're pouring into this world energetically is a baby. You got a lot of babies. So, enjoy your life and whatnot. And go do the things and go learn the stuff. And just know that one day it'll be so wild that you didn't know it, that you didn't comprehend it. Much love. I got stuff to do today. Yeah. In the meantime, lovies, you keep a lookout for the numbers and stay secret.